CAD has a really cool new feature. It is a radial revolver extrude. Now, the way this works is you bring in this tool here and you draw just like you do with the sketch tool, and then it revolves it around 360 degrees. You put it on the same plane as something you want to manipulate or draw around, and you can create shapes based on other shapes too. You could integrate them. So for example, we built the Nutcracker guy. We're working on the Nutcracker guy, and he had legs, and he's tall enough that I needed 2 cylinders to make the legs long enough. How do you join them together? Well, if you want the legs to join seamlessly and you also want to print them in vase mode, you need a shelf on the inside that's vase mode compatible. And the Revolve tool allows you to do that. So we're going to do that. And I already did it right here. So this thing right here is the sketch. There it is. It's really that simple. Now can I pick it? Nope. I don't know how to actually pick the thing on the tablet here. It's really hard on the tablet. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So there's the shape that I drew. And you can see this orange shape is the object that's near it. So when I made this sketch, I brought it in here and I just dropped it in the center here like that. And that allows you to see all of this. Okay. Once you draw it, so this part here is going to be inside the wall, and this part here is going to be exposed. Upper right-hand corner here shows you what your shape's going to look like. You can zoom in, manipulate, and rotate, and twist, and see what your finished shape is going to look like. So here's your blueprint on the screen, your sketch, and here in the upper right-hand corner is what that will look like. When you hit Finish Sketch, it revolves it. So now you have this shape that you created on the inside here, and it is, can I hide it? Whole. Yeah, you see how it's overlapping a little bit right there. And that's what we want. The angle is shallow enough that we'll be able to print this in vase mode without a problem. Now you can also adjust how much of it you're going to print. So for example, if you only need some of it, you just print some of it. If you want to increase the number of sides to increase the quality, that's really nice for printing something smooth, which is really nice. A start, I believe that's going to be where it starts. Yeah, so that changes the start point of the sweep. That gets more complicated if you're doing things that involve that, which I'm not right now. But that's as simple as that. Now I can take these 2 shapes, join them together, and now I have my shape with a shelf inside. Now, how would I have done this before in Tinkercad? Well, before I would have done a torus like this. And I would have embedded that torus in the model like this. Of course, I had this all prearranged, but at some point I moved these 2 pieces. There we go. So previously I would have done something like this. And I can actually show that to you in a plan view so you can see what that looks like. Now the problem you're going to run into is that, first of all, toruses are very complex and they're not very high resolution. And you see that angle there can get pretty steep depending on how you do it. Now the way I get it not steep is by having this bubble be shallow. But if that bubble's too shallow, your part can sometimes squish when you try to push it by it. And printing your insert to be conformal to a torus is really difficult to do. But printing your insert to be conformal to this shape is super easy, and this will print in vase mode super easy. This also allows us to create more complex things like nose cones. So here's the basic shapes that I would use to make a nose cone in the past. You'd have the hemisphere or sphere cut in half, the paraboloid, the pyramid, which you can change the number of sides, and the cone. And by manipulating these shapes, I can create nose cones. Now, for creating a generic nose cone, this works fine. But if you have something more complex in mind, Or if you want to reproduce an existing object that you have measurements of, then being able to use an actual extrude revolve comes in handy, because you can bring in your revolve tool like this and you can create an explicit shape. So for example, I can create a curve shape like this, and then create a shoulder. And it's doing measurements for some reason. It's not letting me do that. I don't know why it's doing this. It won't let me delete it. There. What a pain in the butt. So you can create a shape like this. Change the arc, change the shape, whatever it is you want to do. And then, oops, that needs to be a straight line. I guess there's no way to undo that one step, is there? That's really annoying, that there's no way to undo just that one thing. I know I can, I just don't know how to. I did it before, but point is, you can now create complex revolve shapes. This is a lot easier on a PC. Part of the reason this looks like I'm having such a hard time is because I am. That's because I'm doing this on a tablet computer, and or Android tablet, and it's really complex. With a mouse and a keyboard, this is so much easier. But now I can increase the number of sides to make it nice and clean. Man, that looks so good. Yeah, this is going to be a very nice tool. This is something we're going to have a lot of fun with, to create really nice, clean nose cones in different shapes. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. Oh, that looks good. I actually like that. It looks like kind of like a scramjet nozzle. But yeah, this is nice. Now, does it retain that in the sketch? Yes, it does. Nice. So if I manipulate this, there it is. So if I manipulate this in the Tinkercad environment and then go back into the sketch, it remembers those changes. That's cool. I added the second skirt. That's cool. So there you go. There's the revolve tool. It would have been a lot less useful before, but now that we have the higher polygon count, it's really going to be coming in handy. And one of the ways it's going to come in handy for this, for example, is I can now create a insert that'll go into this tube here, and that'll have a simple bevel on the bottom that'll mate with that bevel. And that's a lot easier print than trying to mate with a convex surface. So it's just a simple angle instead of a curved surface that has to try to warp around with the torus. The torus was the way we did it before. Now we don't have to use the torus. Now we can create our own custom shape to make these kinds of modifications. Can I think of anything else? I can't think of anything else. You can, of course, drop this tool on any shape you want. Now, can you align it for center? I believe you can. So let's see if we can do that. No, don't do that. I keep forgetting that when you click on something, it remembers everything else you clicked on in Tinkercad when you use the tablet computer. So if I take this and drop it here, and I just say finish sketch because I want to get back out of here, I should be able to align these two pieces. Yes. I don't know why I did that. Align, center, center. Now, when I bring this up, now my center line on here is the same as the center line for the cylinder. So now when I draw something in here, now isn't there a way? Now how did I do this before? I somehow did this before. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't know how I did it. Somehow I was able to edit this. I can't figure out how to edit it on the freaking tablet. Oh, that's so annoying. But now you can see it's centered on the object. So if you want to make sure your sketch is centered on whatever object you're doing a radial revolve around, before you start the sketch, just hit finish so that you have just this icon, and then center that icon with whatever it is you're working with. And then now when you draw your sketch, it'll actually be radial aligned with whatever it is you're working on. So now I don't have to align these anymore. These are properly aligned already. So very cool feature. It's something I like. The revolve tool is pretty cool. And you can use it obviously in combination with any of these other objects. So for example, if I want to create a, let's say I want to add some kind of complexity. Come on, let me drag it down. There we go. If I want to add some complexity to this shape, for example. So I could take this shape and this shape, align, and then center, center. Now these two shapes are aligned. Now I can come into here. And now, okay, that's in the way right now. So let me get it out of my way. Yep, you can come over here, get out of my way. Thank you. It's always going to be front to back this way. So now, when I draw my sketch, there is the original nose cone I created. So if I want to add, or for example, remove something, like say I want to put a groove inside of this nose cone, I can do this. Oh, it's not letting me do it. Boy, this is a pain to do this on the tablet. Here we go. Now you're thinking, what are you doing? Watch this. This is cool. So now I have that shape. This shape has, I believe it's 128 sides. So this shape is going to want to also have 128 sides. I turn this into a hole and I join it with this. Look what I can do. Look at that. Do you know how hard it would have been to do something like that before? To add some funky geometry to an existing shape before? That is so cool. Oh man, that is so cool. Very, very cool. And it maintains some parametricity. As long as you keep your tools handy, you can come back in here and edit this. Now, I don't know how to edit this because it's, I don't know how to edit this. I can move it. I don't know how to bring up the points. If I touch it, it's just going to add a new point. So on the PC, you can actually grab these points and move them around. On here, a little harder to do. But just being able to do stuff like this is cool. I really, really like this. I did not want to do that. Oh, come on. It's so hard on the tablet. Yeah, don't mess with this on the tablet unless you absolutely have to. That's what I wanted. I want to stretch that out a little bit to increase the angles. There it goes. Look at that. That's just not something you could easily do previously. That would have been so hard to do anytime else. So this shape is all messed up. Let's see. Oh yeah. That's all messed up. Now we're all clean. Look at that. That is just so cool. And that's just a stupidly simple shape. And you could do shapes on top of shapes just like you could with any other shape. But yeah, that's just that just allows you to do things that you just could not easily do before. I can even, oh, look at this. Imagine how difficult that would have been to do on something like this. Look at this. Watch this. This is cool. This and this. Oh, first of all, let's fix this shape since this is not lined up correctly. 40, 44. Just to make it symmetrical. Line up on you. There we go. Just even something as simple as that would have been so hard to do previously. Just to add that little, look at that little tiny bit of detail there. In space sci-fi thing, we call this greebling. Just adding little silly little things like that. Just a little detail like that. Could you imagine trying to do that previously without the radial array? You could. It wouldn't. I mean, it's doable, but it'd be a pain in the butt. Now it's so easy. That's actually kind of cool. I like that. But yeah, this is just neat. Just the different things you can do now is just very, very cool. I hope you enjoyed this.